Greetings, researchers. Dr. Beth here. We're going to discuss the relationship now between your results section, your data analysis section, and your discussion section. You've collected a lot of raw data, and now you're going to report on that data in order to justify the conclusions you make on your study. Since you'll be talking about your own interpretation of the results in the data analysis section and the discussion sections, you'll need to be sure that the information reported in the results section justifies your claims that you make for your study. Be sure to mention all relevant information. Don't omit the findings if they fail to support your predictions. So you're not giving us the whole body of data, you're putting it together and making sure that we know the most important points that tell people how you got where you're going with the conclusions. If there are things that didn't work, there was a weather event, there were scheduling issues, there were problematic issues with student behavior, you need to include that. That's all part of the big picture of your study, and it's all important with relation to the conclusions of your study. So don't include all the raw data in your results section. As I mentioned, the raw data is what you organize to get to the results section. What you do want to include is summary tables or graphs. Remember, you're summarizing the results, not reporting them in full detail. In many cases, the easiest way to accomplish this is to first create your own tables and figures and then organize them in a logical way. Then write the summary text to support each of the illustrative materials. And then you'll put them together in appropriate APA format. Do not include tables and figures if you're not going to talk about them in your study. You have to talk about them. They have to be referred to and discussed. If they're not, that means they're not relevant data. Always assume that your readers have a solid understanding of your analysis strategies, of how you put the data together. You don't need to explain what a content analysis is or how to design your protocol or how you went about designing your protocol. You just show us what it is and you tell us how you used it. Do not present the same data twice in your illustrative materials. Once you presented it, that's it. You're not going to include it in an appendix again. You're just going to present the data, talk about it, and move forward. If you have already presented it in a table, do not present it again in a graph. Choose your best choice for graphic representation. Maybe it's a table, maybe it's a graph. Which one gives us the best information? Which one can we read and say, ah, that's what she meant, that's what happened, that's what he wanted the kids to do. Don't ignore the negative results, as we mentioned. Just because a result failed to solve your problem, it does not mean it is not important. Results that do not solve your problem can be just as informative as results that do. And you'll explain more about this when you get to your discussion section. So for the results, you want to focus on being concise and objective. And remember, please, the results section should be written in the past tense because they've already happened. It's gone by. So everything is it was, had been, whatever the past tense is for your sentences. It is water under the bridge. You no longer are working with that class. If somebody's reading this 5 years from now, you're no longer working with that class. So it's always in the past tense. So what is data analysis after you've put together your results section? Your results section, you're not interpreting everything. You're just the facts, ma'am. You're just presenting it. In data analysis, you're going to talk about why the things happened the way they did. Why you think it came out that way. Again, you're not making any kind of extrapolations. You're just explaining why student A had trouble according to the data that you collected, or why student B was wildly successful according to the data that you collected, or how the information really informed, the data you collected really informed your study. You're going to explain the range of processes and procedures that you use to move from the data you collected, explanation and understanding of or interpretation of the people or situations that you were investigating. Now we're moving into the discussion section after you've finished writing up your data analysis, and you're going to take the explanation of your data and you're going to talk about it. You're going to talk about the relevance to the theory and to your practice. The discussion is where you're going to tie the patterns and results to your theoretical foundations and prior research. So you're going to make your cycle back to the theoretical foundations to confirm or question or challenge what the experts and the other researchers have said. You want to examine the meaningful and symbolic content of the qualitative data. So you're giving us a deeper and richer and more subjective version of what has happened in your study, based on what you've learned, based on what you've collected in your conclusions. You're still being concise and objective, just because you don't want to spend pages and pages of writing, but you do want to convey the information that gives the real rich context to your study. It's your opportunity to give your own interpretations of the results. How are you going to use this information? And this section is your opportunity to talk about the whys and what I would have done differently in your study. So now you're ready to complete these 3 sections. You probably, by the time you're reading this or watching this, have completed at least the raw data and maybe some other sections in addition. So we're looking forward to having some very well constructed research papers.